Hurricane Beryl, it's a category 4 and it's still strengthening and it's approaching rapidly to the Leeward Islands in the Lesser Antilles, and it's positioned 10.9 degrees north, 55.6 degrees west, and it's currently the earliest category 4 hurricane in the history of the Atlantic Ocean, beating the record of Hurricane Dennis by 1 week. Hurricane Dennis was in 2005, and it's also the first category 4 hurricane in the month of June officially in the Atlantic Ocean. So it's history in the making. Beryl, it's something that possibly we just see once in a lifetime. So this is a really odd situation we are seeing right now in the Atlantic Ocean. Right now has sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, possibly stronger, 958 millibars, moving to the west at 21 miles per hour. This is the last update at 2 p.m. in the Atlantic Standard Time, 18 hours UTC on June the 30th. As you can see right now, Category 4 major hurricane, and the rain bands in the inflow in the western quadrants looking absolutely beautiful and completely well organized, which is also a signal that the storm is still strengthening. So of course a really more powerful hurricane is expected in the next hours, unfortunately for the people living in the Leeward Islands, since there are also a few changes in the advisories. So now Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada and Tobago as well has hurricane warnings, since the system hasn't moved really to the west-northwest as we expected previously in the recent hours. Tropical storm warning in effect for Martinique and tropical storm watch for Dominica and Trinidad. And we expect that this system will maintain category 4 status for at least 2 more days as it gets well into the Caribbean Sea, and then approaching Jamaica, weakening a little bit by dry air. Possibly some wind shear could affect the storm as well, but not really changing the intensity of the storm yet, or a lot, and then gradually weakening a little bit more or with a more accelerated pace as it gets closer to the Yucatan Peninsula by the next 5 days. But of course anything could happen and everything can change, so we are going to maintain you updated and keep a very close eye with it, since it's been a really odd situation with Beryl that hasn't been moving to the west-northwest as we expected, and also has intensified really quickly and more than we also expected so far. This is the wind shear, the current wind shear levels. As you can see, completely favorable conditions for Beryl to maintain hurricane intensity or even strengthening as we saw in the previous hours. Completely incredible pace. And then the wind shear levels in the Caribbean Sea increasing a little bit in the Leeward Islands, but somewhat moderate and low in the Central Caribbean Sea, but also increasing a little bit as well in the Western Caribbean Sea. So we are going to wait about what is going to occur in the next days as it moves closer to Jamaica and the Yucatan Peninsula. The tendencies right now, as you can see, blues and blacks, meaning that it's really low or even null wind shear levels, some greens and yellows, meaning that it's quite low and moderate, but practically Beryl has the conditions to still strengthening at least for the next 24 hours. Sea surface temperatures as well, 28 to 29 Celsius, completely favorable to maintain the strengthening trend as we've seen in the last hours. And the Caribbean Sea as well, it's quite warm, so Beryl has everything to absorb the heat content that also the Caribbean Sea has. It has a lot of oceanic heat content, which also Beryl could take advantage of, but we are going to wait by the atmospheric conditions, since there are quite some dry air by the Saharan dust and wind shear levels as well that is increasing in some parts of the Caribbean Sea. This is the rainfall accumulations by hour. The rain band still quite far away, or well, not that far away, but not reaching the island of Barbados. But of course by tonight, in the next hours, possibly in the next 6 hours or less, the first rainfall bands of Beryl will reach the island of Barbados, possibly then will reach the Tobago Island, and the next the next islands in the following hours as Beryl moves closer to those islands. This is the GFS model prediction. Basically, you can see moving to the west-northwest, gradually striking Jamaica, but of course we've seen previously that it's shifted more to the south or hasn't moved to the west-northwest, so of course the track forecast has shifted more to the south of Jamaica rather than a direct impact, but still expecting some effects by this tropical cyclone for Jamaica in the next 3 or 4 days. In the future, as well, as we've seen a possible another hurricane or tropical storm behind Beryl by the next days. Right now has a 70% chance of formation in the next 5 days. As you can see, the models practically has surpassed all the expectations by different models, so practically there's nothing really useful to see, unfortunately. But the wind shear is maintaining the levels moderate to low, and we are keeping those levels at least in the next 24 hours before it moves to more unstable conditions in the atmosphere. Sea surface temperatures 28 to 29 Celsius, as we've seen, and the humidity, dry air, as I mentioned before, it's taking part of Beryl's path in the near future. So of course the humidity isn't quite that high. It's not that low, but it's expected to decrease in the next hours, and this is possibly the main reason of why Beryl will not maintain that strong for the next 3 days, as it gets weaker gradually, not that fast, but of course a gradual weakening trend will start by the next 72 hours. And this is the satellite presentation of Beryl. You can see completely looking beautiful, amazing structure as well. Their eye getting more round and round with as the passage of the imagery. So of course we are seeing a really intense hurricane, and of course we are going to keep you updated with more live streams and more content in the social media, so please stay tuned with us. And of course we are going to have a live coverage as well as it gets to landfall, possibly in the next 24 hours or so. So please stay tuned with that. Of course we are going to keep a close eye with this meteorological history moment. So of course, hopefully you can stay tuned with us. That's all for today's update.
Become an ultimate fan today.